And we are live, or I am live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday Night Chillstream. James is doing his his retard routine, but I'll put up the welcome screen. There's the welcome screen, so you know you're really welcome. Anyway, what did I do yesterday? I did Philly to the blood bank or the eye bank in New York down to Philly, and today I went to White Plains, and I don't think Virgil Doc, Purple Heart to the show, sir. And then I've been thinking for some time that I want to take a trip, and I was gonna, and I'm not gonna, and I'm gonna, and I'm not gonna. But I said fuck it, and I literally like 10 minutes ago booked a flight to Greece for tomorrow. So I will be leaving at 9 p.m. from Newark, and then coming back on the 26th. So I probably won't be doing a show next week, but all I did was just book the tickets, and that's it. I have no idea what. Once I get there, I'll figure out what I'm going to do once I get on the fucking ground. But I halfway talked myself out of doing it, and I was like, no, don't be a fucking pussy. Just fucking smash up the fucking buy ticket button and get on the airplane. So that's my big adventure. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do when I get there, but I've been there before, so it's not that bad. And I have 290 Euro bucks, 290 European permission slips to spend, which I didn't spend from the last time I was there. Anyway, that's the good news. That's, I guess, the happy news. James is being like a retard again, but it's fun. It makes me, it definitely makes me feel like, you know, my life is much more exciting than it really is. Even though the only thing in the news right now, is Charlie Kirk, and everybody coffin surfing off of Charlie Kirk, including Donald Trump, which this is some kind of AI image. Yeah, this is like the big news story, and I was kind of got ignored because I didn't think Charlie Kirk was that big a deal. But I seen dudes like Eddie Hall, the professional strongman from England, was fucking tweeting about or making Instagram posts about Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, what the fuck? So everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, or coffin surfing, as they say, which is a term I learned from the Second Amendment community, and what it basically means, what it sounds like, that when someone dies, people jump on that wave of emotion and try to surf that wave of emotion to whatever goal that they have: more gun control, less this, that's it, more money for this or that, whatever. And they're referred to ghoulishly as coffin surfers, and everybody's doing it. Literally, everybody's doing it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't think Charlie Kirk was that big of a deal. I would see some advertisements for Turning Point USA, like, I guess because of the content I look at otherwise. And I just dismissed it. Charlie Kirk, there's an enormous amount that is not being said about him that is wildly inaccurate. And everyone's trying to lay this at the feet of a foreign power, not the least of which is this guy, right? Harrison H. Smith, he's on Twitter. I screenshotted it from somebody who screenshotted Mr. Smith. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. Now, it's true that Charlie Kirk was getting into that Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, we're gonna speak freely about Israel thing. He may have been, I don't know, getting a conscience or something, or sort of realizing that there were some strings attached to him. To be honest, he's like, listen, he's not my kind of guy. You know what I mean? Really not my kind of guy. I'm not sure that much was lost. Like I said, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. His wife seems to be jumping in front of the camera now. I don't know if that's going to last or not, but you got to keep them checks rolling in. Even though Tucker Carlson reportedly gave the family $1 million, and it must be nice to live life like that, because poor people get shot all the fucking time. Nobody sends them $1 million. No one sends them $1 million. But at the end of the day, all these people hyperbolically shrieking, it's Israel, it's this, it's that, it's, it turns out he was shot by a homosexual who was in a relationship living with another homosexual who was so twisted up that they thought that they were a female. But people love to fucking spin all sorts of things. And here's the thing about playing tough guy on the internet, saying shit to a camera when you've never experienced anything like this. You're gonna want to be careful, because there's so fucking much of this that's gonna come back to bite you. It is absolutely unreal. We live in an age. Accelerated learning. Welcome to the show. Yeah, say hello to the chat. But anyway, this Charlie Kirk is taking the news partially because Trump is fucking about to die. But I got a bunch of Charlie Kirk video, and you want to be careful of what you say, because the internet for regular people is kind of a forever machine.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Oh, that didn't age well. If you think that one was bad, we got a worser one. And this is where you want to be, you want to understand, you don't want your mouth to write checks that your body can't cash. And, certainly on this one, Mr. Kirk fucking sank himself.
I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. I want to see him on a public block and get him be publicly executed. And I think that would be justice. You think children should have, you should see it? What is the age? At what age should you start to see public executions?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12,
whenever,
6th grade or so. You are a person, they're old enough to, you don't need to like really wallow in it and have them be broken on a wheel or anything. But if it was something like chopping, if we had a guillotine or something.
So listen, all of these nerds who never so much as balled up their fist and threw a punch are talking about public executions, and we got to have the Second Amendment and this and that. And nobody's a bigger Second Amendment guy than I am. However, Charlie Kirk was essentially a paid agent of a foreign nation. He would wrap himself in the flag, and maybe he was vaguely getting some attack of conscience. Maybe it occurred to him that as a millennial, he had a wife and 2 kids in a house, and 99.9% of millennials will never have what he has, and he sucked as a debater. He was fucking, debating college kids. It's like, oh yeah, why don't you get to a boxing match with an 8-year-old cripple, Why don't you get to a boxing match with an 8-year-old blind girl on crutches, you know what I mean? And then call yourself the heavyweight champion. This guy couldn't argue his way in a wet paper bag. But his premise was the political fairy tale of conservatism, and if we all get together and we all unify and believe this fairy tale extra double hard, then magically all the problems will be solved. Like if we all believe in the political fairy tale called conservatism, then the problems will be solved. Potholes will be filled, the garbage will be taken out, brain surgery will be done, the fucking toilets will be cleaned, people will fucking whatever. They'll make the chicken tendies in the shape of a swastika and everything will be great. If we all just unify and double, triple, quadruple, extra hard, squish your eyes, cross your heart, hope to die, believe in this political fairy tale called conservatism, then everything would be great. And he sold that publicly, and that triggers an emotional response, particularly for young people, college people. And in this case, there was some queer dude who had a queer boyfriend who thought he was a girl, and they perceived that Charlie Kirk was going to lead a unified against the transgender community or something, and decided to shoot first. So yeah, when you hit the battle of the political fairy tales, you're going to see some very, very bizarre shit. That's why I titled tonight's stream "Communists versus Zionists." Kirk was certainly in the Zionist camp, but one could argue that the rainbow people represent communism. And the other thing that, pardon me, that Kirk, that I didn't care for about Charlie Kirk is the fact that he was a shitcoin.
Are you pro crypto? I've never seen you talk about crypto. Yeah,
very pro crypto.
You got some Bitcoin?
I actually have better stuff than that. I am a significant investor in the plumbing of how crypto is made.
Really?
So I won't say any more than that, but done some good private equity deals in the actual back end on the technology of actually blockchain on how all these coins go public. Now, not Bitcoin itself, but of all the other types of coins. And so if you are long on crypto, I encourage people to understand that there is a needed multi-billion-dollar infrastructure that needs to be there to actually for all these coins to be able to go through process, to be made public, to go through ICOs. But yes, I'm very pro crypto, and I got some coins.
So he's a shitcoiner. He's not a Bitcoiner, he's a shitcoiner. And as a shitcoiner and an agent of the foreign government, cashing them sweet 8-pack checks, getting them 8-pack bucks, I don't think much of value is lost. I really don't. I don't think you should be shot for free speech. However, you've got to understand there's consequences for going out there and exciting emotionally unstable people, and of course not having a drone scan the rooftops. But yeah, you don't want to. I'm sure he said he's making all kinds of money with the shit coining, and the 8-pack checks are coming in, and he thought life is grand and I can do whatever I want. And it didn't quite work out that way. Where's I don't know if you want to see the and if you think I'm being too harsh, here's again, you really want to be careful with what you say online, because this shit's going to come back to bite you.
It's all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time. Here's cut 60.
I don't believe in empathy. There's endless clips of this guy just really fucking shit up. And this, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But it keeps the other news off of the screen, which is that Donald Trump had a stroke. And there's where's the dude? This guy's, if you could search this on YouTube, but this guy noticed the people. I said in the old days you would look in the back of a photograph to see what was missing or not missing. The famous photograph of Joseph Stalin and 4 guys hanging out by the Moscow River. And in 1954, it was Joseph Stalin and 4 guys. And in 1955, it was Joseph Stalin and 3 guys. They just airbrushed somebody out. So looking in the back of the photograph, was a big deal. The placeholder for this channel, right, is the Ku Klux Klan dudes with black skin in their Ku Klux Klan outfits in front of the giant burning cross. You know, look in the details of the photograph, you go, hey, that doesn't make sense. And now people smarter than us, with a different viewpoint than us at any rate, are looking at everything that, every piece of video coming out of the White House, and this guy noticed that Trump had a fucking stroke.
President Trump has just suffered a stroke, and I don't even think he knows it yet. He went out for a 9/11 remembrance today with his wife Melania. This was just moments ago. I was just watching it live, and what I'm seeing is one of the major stroke symptoms, facial drooping. Look at this video. This is from Washington Post, and you can go on YouTube and watch this live video. You can see that the right side of Trump's face is drooping down. This is one of the clear signs of a stroke. B FAST is the acronym that we use to look for signs, and F is the facial drooping.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
And there's more, because yesterday, Trump posted a video about Charlie Kirk. People were saying this video is AI edited, and it did not look like him at all.
Devoted his life to the cause of open debate.
Was his stroke yesterday? Did somebody in the White House notice this?
So what's the crazy thing is that the bankers love their cripples. You may not know that Woodrow Wilson, who campaigned on "I will keep us out of World War I," as soon as he was elected, first he had a stroke, and second, he got us involved in World War I. And his wife was running things behind the scenes. And now I would think that Melania Trump, whatever, what is she? She's not Croatian. She's like one of those countries over there. The supermodel chickie is now running the White House. And if you think that she's not, I assure you, she is running the show. They're feeding stuff to her, and she decides what Donald signs and doesn't sign. And they did that with Woodrow Wilson more than 100 years ago. They're doing it today. The bankers love their cripples. You know what I mean? They love, you know, the fucking MAGA retards, the people who believe in that fairy tale are like, ha ha ha, sick Hillary. Well, what are you going to say about Trump? You know what I mean? Terminal Trump. He's not going to make it 4 years. He's not going to make it the whole way out. J.D. Vance, the crypto vice president, is going to be the new president. And J.D. Vance knows it, by the way. You know, he has to fucking know. Trump hasn't shown up anywhere in public. Everything you see of him is, you know, he's sitting down. Where's the one? I think that was, there was a video of him doing something like sitting at a fucking baseball game or something. But it's shot so you only see the left side of his face, and he's sitting down and he's waving his hands. Like, they love their cripples, man. They love their cripples and their degenerates. And that is who they put over us. And so be prepared for the fact that, Trump might not be around for a while longer. And for the life of me, and I swear to God, I don't fucking understand this, why the fuck they don't give this guy stem cells? I follow all these UFC fighters and these other fucking dudes, even the fucking arm wrestling bros. When they pull their fucking tendons in their forearms, they get stem cells shot right into their forearms. They get a needle full of stem cells right in their forearms. And I don't understand why they're not giving Trump stem cells. I just don't get it. Like you would think somebody would fucking come up with that idea, but apparently they haven't. Or maybe they have, and the situation is even worse. Like stem cells can't even save. But if you go look at the Tijuana stem cell clinics or Panama or Colombia stem cell clinics, they specifically have a congestive heart failure package. Right? There's a package that they offer you. It's like $25,000, where they will actually stop your heart temporarily to let the stem cells sit in the chambers of your heart and stick to the walls of the fucking heart and accelerate the the rejuvenation. And it is, I just don't understand why the fuck they don't give him stem cells. They could do it in the White House easy, right? They could do it super easy. Yes, accelerated learning, more than a little bit drooping. He's an old guy, and who knows what he was doing behind the scenes in terms of how he lived his life. But you got to think of, you're a billionaire, and you won't do anything for your own fucking health. Like, you won't exercise, you won't fucking sweat, you won't lift weights or fucking walk on the treadmill, because that's for a lot of poor people. You know what I mean? That's physical labor. That's for the lower classes. Well, look at you now, bro. Look at you now. And that's the big problem with these people. They think they can, well, I'm rich, I'll make someone else fix it. There's shit that doctors can't fix. You can go too far, and now you end up where you end up. And these guys, as much as these guys think that they're fucking smart, they're not that smart. They don't really know what they think they know. And what do we got here? And that includes that guy. There's this dude, I showed him a couple of weeks ago. He's a organic chemistry professor at Cornell University. David Callum is his name, and he thinks he's so smart, and he's all fucking round up about Bitcoin and crypto. And he's obviously, he's a salty no coiner. He owns no Bitcoin, and he thinks that the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds will not allow. I'm not going to turn the economy over to Michael Saylor and Max Kaiser, but he really is locked in this worldview that the economy, the global economy, is run by either the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds or both, and that they control everything, and you're never going to break their control. And certainly it doesn't look very likely right now. But for a guy who's supposedly a smart dude, a professor at Cornell, an Ivy League university, he's an organic chemistry professor. So organic chemistry is a hard science. There's no extrapolation. There's only, you got to know how many fucking molecules interact with what molecules agree. But I don't know fuck all about organic chemistry, and I don't know how it's different from inorganic chemistry. But this guy thinks he's smarter than he really is. And he got on the Natalie Brunell podcast, and I got 2 clips of him. And what are they? I'll do the longer one. Because no, we'll do the short one first. Natalie Brunell talking with the Ivy League professor David Callum about Bitcoin.
I made the decision not to buy Bitcoin when it was $10. If I bought it, I would have sold it at 50. I know my psyche. I would have said, look, this is a farce. I've just made 5-fold. I'm taking it and running with it. And as I said, the long arm of the state, if they decide they don't want you, I sincerely, to the bottom of my soul, believe they can destroy you. I think that's where some of the hodlers are out of their minds. So if the state says, look, if you use Bitcoin, you're going to get thrown in prison for 10 years. Game's over. But the Bitcoin guys, they started as this very libertarian movement. And now they're all excited that Larry Fink is in on the game and that the government's in on the game. I'm going, you guys are signing off on precisely what it is you defied, and that is government. So I find there's a paradox in that bit of thinking.
Well, I think that it's less so that people are getting really excited about it than they realize that this was inevitable, and it's exciting to see Bitcoin being recognized and maybe legitimized. I mean, most of us, I would argue, don't believe that it poses any real threat to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's decentralization, Bitcoin's security at a technical or economic level. I mean, there haven't been any signs, especially in this administration, that they are anything but for this technology and are trying to figure out strategic ways that it could actually elevate and extend dollar dominance, because obviously we don't want to lose our position with the dollar being the main currency, but increasingly maybe Bitcoin will be sort of a store of value for every government, every company, because it is the one thing that no one can print and manipulate, and you don't have to trust any other country, right? We're not going to suddenly move to another sovereign nation's currency.
So, Ivy League professor losing to a Polish girl whose parents came here because the pierogies were of higher quality. These guys think they're smarter than they really are. They're not that smart. If all you've known is this fiat world, you cannot imagine the world before this, and you cannot imagine something coming afterwards. You just can't. Okay, you like to think yourself as super high IQ, big brain. Oh, and I can see the future. No, you really fucking can't. And none of these guys, especially when they have a very expensive, this is my certificate from an expensive school. This shows that I'm a very smart person. And this is an expensive certificate. And I have a tweed jacket with fucking leather patches, suede patches on the fucking elbows. And I'm in Cornell. I've passed through Ithaca, New York, by the way. I go to, delivered up to Horseheads, New York, which is near Ithaca. It's beautiful. It's fucking gorgeous. That guy's been up there for 4 decades. There's no crime. It's a pretty fucking town. You're in the fucking mountain areas. It's fucking lovely. You know what I mean? And if you're living that life, you're a professor at an Ivy League university, you got to think you're smarter than you really are. Because you look around and go, well, this was no fucking accident. But to be honest, it's like 3/4 of an accident. You know what I mean? That he is where he is. And very few people want to say, hey, you know, I just got lucky with this. I just got fucking lucky. Nobody wants to say that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to say that. Meanwhile, this guy, if you remember this chink, not my favorite chink, but still an important chink, Changpeng Zhao, the former CEO of Binance, which was the CIA's front company for sending Bitcoin around the world. He did 33 months. He did how many months in prison? 12 months or something, 60 months in prison, and was allowed to keep $33 billion that the government said he earned unfairly or whatever. He knows that the United Arab Emirates already has Bitcoin reserves, and China will buy soon. Now, you ask Dave Callum, you know, what are we going to do about the UAE? And he'll say, oh, Israel will bomb them the way they bombed Qatar. I don't know if I don't think you understand. You cannot bomb the internet. You could blow up the servers, but it doesn't actually destroy the internet. So, you know, and if China does it just to fucking stick a thumb in America's eye, then what are you gonna do about China? You know, these guys haven't fully played out the game theory. Most people haven't fully played out the game theory of Bitcoin, and they get caught up in the shitcoin stuff, and they get caught up in all the rest. And you need to be a little more humble and try to think of what the world was like before fiat currency, which is only like 300 years old, and what the world's going to be like after it's over. Because there will come a day where no human being on earth will work their entire life for what another man can print for free. You know, I don't have I wish I had my fucking stupid euro notes. Because I put my passport back in the fucking bag. But the $100 euro note is this big, and the $50 euro note is this big, and the $20 euro note is this big, and the $10 one is this big, and it's all fucking different sized pieces of paper with different numbers on it. Instead of the way America does it, which is the same paper receipt just with different numbers on it, the Europeans do different sized pieces of paper, which makes it really fucking annoying to put all together. To hold in your billfold. So there's going to come a time where paper receipts, you're going to look at them like sailboats. You know what I mean? Like you're going to look at them like, I don't know, like catapults versus cruise missiles. You're going to look back and go, really? That's what they did? They just put a rock on a fucking stick and threw it like that? I can't believe how that was effective. But the day is coming, the cruise missiles of money is coming, right? In the short run, it's going to look like the stable coins and all that other shit. But Bitcoin's winning wherever it fucking goes, including the communist of communists, a man's the three-time Genghis Khan defeaters, Vietnam, is now going to allow Bitcoin and crypto trading under a new 5-year pilot program. This is us winning. This is us winning. This is us winning. The crypto trading, of course, is just a quick way to bankrupt the already poor people of Vietnam. But, you know, it went from illegal to we're going to allow it. And this is us winning all the fucking time. And I think that people don't fully appreciate that. And the signs are all around you. Just the question is, how much do you pay attention to them, and how much do you weight them? This guy points out this, like, I don't know that he connects it to anything, but he says, this is absolutely insane. There are $40 billion worth of US data centers under construction, up 400% since 2022. In 3 years, up 400%. For the first time in history, the value of US data centers under construction will exceed that of office buildings. Showing you that these office buildings that used to be $250 million buildings are now $3 million buildings. And the reason why is because nobody's going back to work in there. You're not paying the salaries for people to go there, right? The money's going to be made in these data centers, whatever that looks like. And it's not going to be, gleaming office towers in New York, Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. That's 20th century value extraction. 21st century value extraction is going to be these data centers. And the amount of electricity needed for them is fucking eye-popping. The data center load is set to account for 40% of net new demand on the electrical grid by 2030. 40% more electrical demand. Overall, electricity demand for data centers is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 23% for at least the next 5 years. When I tell you to fucking buy nuclear power stocks, I'm not joking, because you ain't getting the power for these data centers from windmills, just as it happened. So find a nuclear power stock that you like and buy it, because you don't want to end up like this. These are the pure communists, right? Cuba's electrical grid collapses in a nationwide blackout. And it collapsed for the 4th time in a year, okay? So, I mean, I guess it's good you don't get a bill, but you're living in the dark. And I don't know what they have in terms of candle power in Cuba, but for the incompetent, insane parasites who believe in the fairy tale called communism, I'm sure Castro and his buddies, they've got electric generators. I'm sure their refrigerators and their air conditioners still work, but literally for the rest of the fucking island, with the exception of Guantanamo Bay, which America owns, the rest of the island was fucking black. And that's the fourth time in a year. Okay, these incompetent, psychotic parasites will eventually be dislodged. Okay, not as fast as we'd like, you know what I mean, but it will happen. It is fucking inevitable. It is inevitable. It is inevitable. And whether or not you believe that, I don't particularly care, because I don't demand that you believe in my fairy tale. This is the reality of what I believe. In 2010, the iPhone 4 was 2,842 Bitcoins for one iPhone, right? Today, the 2025 iPhone, which is like 3 times more expensive, 300% more expensive, is 0.007 Bitcoins. It's 7/1000ths of a Bitcoin. That is us winning in real fucking terms. The electronic device, like what I'm using here, like this Android phone, they're cheap crap, right? This is garbage that in 2 years you wouldn't be worth stealing. You know what I mean? You couldn't give it away, all right? But Bitcoin 2 years from now will be more valuable than it is today. Period. End of fucking story. End of story. End of story. End of story. And as things get worse and worse for us, people notice different parts of it. This guy tweets that I can't remember what the guy's name is. They told you that trucking jobs would be replaced by AI. Then you found out that they were just replaced by Indians. They told you that customer service jobs would be replaced by AI, and you found out they were replaced by Indians. They told you that coding would be replaced by AI, and it's just Indians. So the flood of cheap labor will not stop anywhere. And they could, the trucking industry, white people, black people, Spanish people don't want to do it. So they'll import Indians to drive trucks in America. And that's going to already has caused a ridiculous amount of problems and deaths, and will continue, because though they have billions and hundreds of billions, it's not enough. At some point, wealth becomes a sickness. And I don't know what that point is, but it's probably the billionaire level, in all likelihood. And until we fix the money, we're not going to fix any of these problems, right? You're not going to take the fucking money that the Jews print, right? Or the central bankers, whether you want to consider them Jews, not Jews, they're not real Jews. Real Judaism hasn't been tried yet. Blah 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 blah. I don't care what how you cope with this shit. But here's the graduate level Bitcoin class, right? All fiat currency goes to zero. All government issued money goes to zero, right? Buy Bitcoin, right? Always trade your weak dollars, euros, yen, whatever, for strong Bitcoin. That's the graduate class. There you go. Write yourself a fucking degree in Bitcoinology. And then you'll be happy. You'll be happier. You'll be happier than you are now, because you'll understand that you will be partaking in something that's going to fix things, not make it worse. And when you see shit like this, which is, at least my tax dollars made me laugh when I saw this.
Introducing Captain Israel. He can completely control Captain America. His superpowers of denial erase genocide, and his shield accuses you of anti-Semitism.
Captain Israel controls Captain America. That was funny. And his shield accuses you of anti-Semitism. I like that a lot. There's no way to get out of this using their money. You're not going to use their money to overthrow their power structure. Not going to happen. It's never happened in the history of ever. Like all the people that say, oh, they're the security dudes around Charlie Kirk were signaling to the assassin. Listen, never in the history of ever has a hit squad said, oh, you're going to shoot this guy? Let me stand right next to him. Let me stand 2 feet away from him before you pull the fucking trigger. Nobody stays downrange by the target. Nobody stays downrange by the target. Much less three of the hitmen. That's so ridiculously, stupidly fucking retarded. But people will get spun up about this, and they'll all get, everybody's an armchair spy master, and everyone's an expert on assassination because they watch the Jason Bourne movies, and or they play fucking Call of Duty or something like that. In the meantime, the world, like I said, the world moves our fucking way. Here is Michael Saylor, who I've criticized a lot in the past, but he makes a really good point, very succinct point right here.
The CEO of Vanguard became very famous for saying he didn't think Bitcoin was an asset, it didn't generate cash flows, and they wouldn't let their clients buy it. Do you know who the largest shareholder is of my company? Vanguard. Okay, so you think about that a little bit, right? Kind of hard to stop an idea whose time has come.
Pretty ironic, huh? Vanguard says we're not going to touch Bitcoin, and what do? They go heavy into fucking Michael Saylor's company. Why? Because it's pumping. The stock is pumping. All these guys, no matter how much they have, they want more, right? So that's that, and they're going to go to where the money is flowing to, and the money right now doesn't look like a whole lot. I think we've crashed like $114,000. Oh, heavens me. what shall we do? But we're just going to keep winning. That's all. We're just going to keep winning, including, I'm going to give you Natalie Brunell one more time, and I'll stick with the MicroStrategy thing, because Michael Saylor is no longer the CEO of MicroStrategy. He's the new CEO of MicroStrategy.
After the communists took over South Vietnam, they basically took over all the businesses, socialized them all, and they seized all the money. So it was a tough place to be.
So let's start at the very beginning. Where are you from?
I was originally born in Vietnam. I'm a refugee. I came to the U.S. via boat. We escaped South Vietnam in 1978 when I was 2.
Do you remember a lot of that?
I don't remember a lot of it, but those who follow the Vietnam War, my family was from South Vietnam. And after the communists took over South Vietnam and the U.S. left, it was a tough place to be. My mother's family were tailors, and my dad's family were farmers. And when the communists took over, they basically took over all the businesses, socialized them all, and they seized all the money. So it was a tough place to be.
It's crazy to think about the solution that Bitcoin provides to so many of these issues that people don't realize. I mean, a majority of the world lives under authoritarian regimes. They have problems with their currencies that are far worse in terms of debasement than us here in the US.
Yeah, governments confiscating property, confiscating currency, and creating an environment where it's better for you to risk your life, leave the country, and start with nothing than it is to stay where you are.
I mean, my family can relate living under communism, feeling like there was no sense of economic hope, and coming to a place where the American dream stands for that very thing, that you can come from anywhere and achieve anything you want.
Bitcoin, the anti-communist money, the only money that matters, because every other kind of money is communist money, right? Issued by central bankers. That is the world you currently live in. And if you want to delude yourself that if real fascism hasn't been tried yet, and if we all just unify and double, triple, extra believe in fascism, then somehow all the problems will be solved. You go ahead and run with that, but that's delusional, and I'm not going to participate with that. And I will mock you for it. The same way I mock the monarchy people. People saying, well, why can't we just have a king? Why can't we just have a king?
Why is it that we're always taught that Europeans were the bad guys and that other groups hold no responsibility for historical events? Take the Incan Empire. They were ruled by a hereditary divine monarchy in which power was not only passed down from father to son, was not only absolute, but the Sapa Inca was said to be God on earth. And if a peasant were to make eye contact with him or were to accidentally touch him, they would be executed on the spot. And this wasn't unique to the Sapa Inca. Unauthorized eye contact to a priest or a noble could get you tortured, publicly humiliated, or even executed, as the Inca practiced a strict caste system and upward mobility was nearly impossible. And the Sapa Inca owned everything. All of the land, all of the food, all of the gold. And every member of the empire was forced to do 2 to 3 months of unpaid labor for the government, which was strictly enforced. It allowed 100,000 Inca to rule over 10 million people. But as you know, power corrupts. And when Francisco Pizarro arrived to conquer the Inca, he found that they were in the midst of a brutal civil war. See, the Sapa Inca had passed away, and Atahualpa and his brother Huascar both wanted power, which kicked off a brutal civil war that Atahualpa would win. But he didn't just win, he would commit one of the worst crimes in human history. Very much like what the Bolsheviks did to the Romanov family. Atahualpa would have Huascar's multiple wives and children executed. But it was even more brutal, because they kept him alive to make sure that he would see it. But as this happened, the civil war weakened the Inca, and that's when Pizarro arrived. That's what the conquistadors found. And they would capture Atahualpa and conquer the empire, which, don't get me wrong, was done in very brutal fashion. These were no choir boys. This was in the midst of the Spanish Inquisition, and the conquistadors were low-class bastards with a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. But the point is that the way history is taught in American schools is designed to make Europeans look like some type of unique evil. So the Europeans are always the bad guys, and everyone else is always the victim. And this means they could have no agency, no responsibility, and do nothing wrong. And that's because history in school is taught through the Marxist lens of oppressed versus oppressors. And this is why I write books on the Bill of Rights and what makes America special. That we have a God-given right to stand up
All right, so that's our buddy that comes to Bears dude. But the history of the Inca Empire is interesting, right? Infighting, right? Struggle for control of the resources opens up an opportunity for an external force, in this case the Spaniards, to come in and clean your clock, and that's going to happen. I've said that's going to happen with governments. The United States versus China, the U.S. stable coins versus the Chinese renminbi or digital yuan or whatever the fuck that's going to be. That battle's going to be going on. And in the background, Bitcoin's going to be getting stronger and stronger while those two exhaust themselves. And it doesn't matter who wins because they're going to be so vulnerable. It's going to take so much to win that that it will exhaust them, and Bitcoin will just fucking dominate because you'll be tired of doing your 3 months of mandatory labor, for the God King, or shouting, comrade, long live comrade, whatever Castro, shouting that in the fucking dark because there's no electricity. This ends in tears eventually, right? And when it does, and I'm not sure how much I've made this point, but this is going to kick off when Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, when they all buy Bitcoin, when Mark Zuckerberg comes and says, we think Bitcoin's matured as an asset, and we find ourselves, we think at Facebook we should move some of our assets into Bitcoin. That's when the dollar's going to fucking go on, right? And Zuckerberg and all the rest of them will move their money into that. Before they move their company's money into it, they'll move their private money, their own personal money into that. When that's what Bitcoin will be, what the exchange rate will be then, it will be higher than now. It'll be higher than 100,000. It could be, I don't know, 7 figures, 8 figures. Who the fuck knows? I don't do price predictions. But when the elites and their fucking the machines that they use to extract wealth, when they switch to Bitcoin, that's when it all goes under. What that date's going to be, I don't know. In the meantime, this is ultimately the world you live in, and you're going to have to learn to see through it.
You want to know the real reason why Paramount CBS is paying $200 million for Barry Weiss's blog? It's so you don't see segments like this ever again.
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery.
I have no idea how that was ever allowed to air on CBS 60 Minutes, but it was. But no more, because the new owner of CBS's parent company, David Ellison and his father Larry, are fully devoted to the state of Israel. In fact, they are Israel's biggest U.S. donor. Quote, Ellison himself has personally bankrolled the Israeli Defense Forces, giving tens of millions of dollars to the Friends of the IDF, an organization that purchases equipment for the Israeli military. And for those of you who don't know or are not that familiar with the Free Press, what they're really good at, what they specialize in, is putting out these pro-Israel pieces with a quote-unquote intellectual lens, like this one that denies that any sort of famine is going on in Gaza. And that's why they want to pay her $200 million to lead CBS News. Glenn Greenwald, the so-called Free Press, is engaged in one of the most blatant campaigns of atrocity denials seen in years. That's why the Ellison family, now buying Paramount CBS, wants Barry Weiss there, in service of the foreign government they are all desperate to protect and whitewash. The more you know, the more you know.
Yeah, so Barry Weiss is just some Yenta broad, some Jew broad, who got a job at the New York Times and started a blog or something like her YouTube channel. Her YouTube videos would get like 4,000 views or 8,000 views. And they decided to pay her $200 million for a YouTube channel that fucking gets 8,000 views per video. I know there are videos about how to fucking deadlift properly that get more than 8,000 views. There, and there are 1,000 fucking videos about how to deadlift properly. So, you aren't going to fix this from doing. You're not going to organize and unify or get everyone to believe in your fucking fairy tale. And you're not going to convince everyone that if they believe extra hard in your fairy tale and do all the scared, hard, scary, tough things, that all the problems will just solve themselves, and you'll sit back and you'll be, the official unity caller of the nation state of whatever the fuck of gay communist stand. And ow, I'm losing my fucking voice, damn it. And all will be well. That's not going to happen. You're not going to use their currency to overthrow their power structure. Not going to happen. So if you want to continue to delude yourself and try and drag people into doing stupid shit like Charlie Kirk did, except Charlie Kirk was more successful than you, go ahead and do that. But I have no interest in it. That's the reason. More and more, I realize if you're not already where I am, headspace wise, then you don't belong here. You're not going to like this content, and you can go off and do whatever. I don't know, but stay focused. Keep your mind on what you want to fucking do, because that's all that matters. And the communists fighting the Zionists, that's going to be fun to watch, and the endless stupid conspiracy theories that come from it. Might have some entertainment value, but mostly it's noise. Focus on turning as much government permission slips into Bitcoin as you can, as quickly as you can, and understand that a different world is definitely coming. So just prepare for it. Anyway, for me, I will not be here. I will be in Greece for the next 10 days. We'll start tomorrow. I will fly out. The only sucky part is when I fly back, we have to stop in Dulles. It's one stop in Dulles before the plane comes back to Newark, which will certainly be the fastest I've ever gone from Dulles to Newark. But it adds like 3 hours to the flight. Anyway, I doubt I will be doing any uploading from Evopa, but you never know. I'm not even sure what the fuck I'm going to do when I get there. It's going to be like half an adventure. Anyway, with that, Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, Accelerated Learning, and everyone else that is lurking in the background, thanks for stopping by, and I will talk to you again next week.